The road was eerily quiet, almost lifeless. Only the heavy thud of Jungkook's boots against the cracked pavement and the sharp sound of his ragged breaths broke the silence. Each step felt heavier than the last, his legs trembling under the weight of his battered body. Low grunts escaped his mouth, his throat dry, his lungs burning as if the air itself was cutting him from inside. His vision swayed, black spots threatening to cloud his eyes, but he forced himself forward. Blood trickled from the deep cut on his forehead, sliding down to sting his eye. His knees throbbed with a fresh wound, and his stomach burned where the bullet had barely touched, leaving him half crippled. Every nerve in his body screamed for him to stop, to collapse on the cold ground and let the darkness take him. But he couldn't stop. He couldn't let them win. They had found him. His enemies, merciless, waiting for the right moment, had struck without warning. He wasn't even in a danger zone, yet they tracked him down like wolves. He had no gun, no backup. Before he could even reach his men or call for help, they had already cornered him. Jungkook, they'll find me if I stay out here, he muttered under his breath. I have to keep moving. Stumbling, almost tripping over his own feet, he reached the middle of an uncommon road. That's when his eyes lifted, catching sight of a large house ahead. His heart clenched with a rays of hope. Jungkook looked back, his gaze piercing through the shadows, every nerve tensing at the thought of his enemies following behind. He clenched his jaw and forced his eyes forward again. Jungkook, there's no other way, he breathed. I have to do this. Dragging himself closer, his body swayed like a wounded beast still refusing to give up the fight. He stumbled toward the front door, his hand trembling as it wrapped around the handle. He twisted it, locked. He pressed his forehead against the wooden frame, his face scrunching in pain and frustration. Jungkook, damn it, he hissed, his teeth gritted. Not now. His eyes darted around desperately, searching for anything, any opening, but the windows were sealed tight, not a single weakness in sight. Just when the sharp pang of defeat began clawing at his chest, something caught his eye, up above, the balcony. His bloodshot eyes narrowed on it, noticing the faint flicker of light slipping through the thin curtains. The balcony door wasn't locked. He could see it sway slightly with the wind. A chance, a way in. Jungkook, guess I'm not done yet. He nodded once to himself, pushing his aching body to obey. He placed his hand on the stone wall and onto the pipe with the other hand. His knee protested with every push of his foot against the wall. His teeth clenched so hard his jaw ached, but his eyes never left the balcony above him. Step by step, grip by grip, his body was breaking, but his will refused to. Finally, with one last push, Jungkook threw his arm over the balcony railing. His body nearly gave out as he pulled himself up, chest slamming against the cold metal. He hung there for a second, panting, before mustering the strength to drag his whole body over. He collapsed onto the balcony floor, blood dripping against the polished tiles. His ears twitched like a predator's. No matter how much he wanted to convince himself it was his imagination, it wasn't. He heard it, faint at first, but then clear enough to freeze the blood in his veins. The soft, steady hum of a hair dryer. The sound came from behind a door, maybe the washroom. His throat tightened as his chest rose and fell faster. That meant someone was here, a human. He clenched his jaw, mind running wild. Shit, if they see me like this. He didn't even know if it was a man or a woman, but the possibility alone made his stomach twist. Jungkook whispered under his breath, Jungkook, damn it, I have to hide, quickly. He scanned his surroundings. The balcony was out of the question. One wrong move and he could expose himself to the street below or worse, to the eyes of his enemies. He needed cover fast. He had no choice. He slipped inside the room. Then, it happened. The click of the washroom door opening. His blood ran cold, and panic shot through his veins. He couldn't think, he just reacted. With his pulse roaring in his ears, he yanked open the cupboard door standing right beside him, slid inside, and carefully pulled it shut. The wood creaked slightly, and he bit down hard on his lip, praying the noise didn't carry. On the other side of the thin wooden doors, you had just finished drying your hair. A small smile curved on your lips, still caught in your own little world. Your towel clung loosely around your chest, drops of water trailing down your shoulders and collarbones, strands of wet hair stuck to your forehead, sliding down your face as you exited the washroom. You padded barefoot across the floor, the faint tap echoing in the quiet. Instead of walking to your cupboard straight away, you teetered toward your nightstand, reaching for your phone at the charging point. Jungkook nearly cursed out loud when he heard the faint thud of your steps inside the cupboard. His lungs burned as he tried to hold his breath. but it was impossible. He could feel every breath coming harsher, heavier. He leaned forward slightly, pressing his eye toward the thin slit where the cupboard doors met. He could barely make out shapes, but one thing hit him instantly. The scent, a sweet, feminine fragrance. It drifted in the air. The moment you opened the washroom door, the smell of your shampoo, mixed with warm skin and a hint of soap. His nostrils flared, and he clenched his fist against his thigh, realization sinking deep. A woman. He had been relieved for just a second, but the moment he leaned in to peek through the small gap of the door, his heart jumped into his throat. There you were, sitting on the edge of the bed, your back almost bare, the smooth curve of your shoulders catching the faint glow of the bedside lamp. Jungkook's heart leapt to his throat. Is she naked? His mind betrayed him with images, dangerous possibilities. But as his eyes adjusted, he noticed it. Your lower back wasn't bare. A white towel was wrapped around you, hidden partly by the blanket crumpled behind. Relief spread in his chest, but it didn't last long. On the bed, you had just set your phone aside when something caught your ear. A sound that didn't belong. You frowned, your brows furrowing tight as you stilled. Your fingers curled around the towel, gripping it tight. Your heart skipped painfully in your chest. There it was again, heavy, ragged breathing. Not yours, not from outside either. Too close. Cold fear crawled up your spine. Slowly, with shaking fingers, you turned your head just enough to glance at the balcony, expecting maybe an animal or the wind. But your eyes landed somewhere else, the wardrobe, and what you saw made your blood run cold. A dark red line. A streak of liquid seeped out from the edge of the wardrobe, trailing down to the floor. Blood, and beneath it, faint but unmistakable, the sound of ragged, labored breathing. Your stomach dropped, your body numb with panic. Every instinct screamed at you. Run. Jungkook, still hidden, saw it all. His dark eyes followed your every movement, confusion knotting his brows. You were staring, and you weren't just staring, you were staring in his direction. For a second, he hesitated. You hadn't screamed yet, you hadn't moved. He couldn't tell if you were paralyzed by fear or still doubting your instincts. His mind raced. Should he reveal himself now? Should he attack first? But then you moved. Your hand snatched the vase from your nightstand, your body launching forward. You sprinted straight to the main door of your room, panic clear in your every step. Jungkook didn't think anymore. He slammed the door open with a loud crack and rushed in the room, just as you fumbled with the lock. Jungkook, hey lady, listen to me. The sound made your panic spike. Your fingers fumbled with the door lock, shaking so badly that it felt like it would slip from your grasp. You tried to scream, but all that came out was a strangled, broken sound, like a tape recorder stuck on a loop. Then, a large hand slammed hard against the door from behind you, startling you so violently that you stumbled back. Jungkook, please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. His words froze midair as your sobs erupted, racking your body without a noise. Tears streamed down your face, soaking your cheeks and jaw, mingling with the damp strands of hair stuck to your skin. You clutched the door handle as though it were a lifeline, and your small frame shook with the force of your fear. Jungkook, hey, no, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not a bad guy. His voice was pleading, but you only shook your head violently, refusing to believe him. You gripped the vase tighter, instinctively pressing it to your chest. For a moment, he paused, watching, unsure why you weren't responding. And then he saw it. Your wide, panicked eyes, your trembling fingers. It was obvious you were in your panic state. Jungkook, okay, calm down. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm just hiding. You can trust me. His voice softened, but he didn't take his eyes off you, studying every shift of your trembling body, every line of fear in your face. He stepped back slowly, giving you space, but your instincts didn't stop. Your hand shot up, the vase aimed straight at him. He reacted instantly, grabbing your wrist and twisting it gently but firmly, pulling the vase away. Jungkook, stop being aggressive. I'm not here to hurt you. But before his words could settle in the air, horror struck you. The motion of him snatching the vase had tugged your towel loose. Your eyes widened, round as a ball, when you felt the fabric sliding down your chest. No, not this. You didn't even realize in panic you had run in only a towel, half naked, in front of a strange man. His eyes flickered down, just for a second, before realization struck him too. His throat bobbed, his jaw clenched, and instantly, he snapped his head away. Jungkook, I didn't see anything, Jungkook said quickly, almost desperately. Squeezing his eyes shut, he spun around, giving you his back. I I swear I didn't. He dropped to his knees, shaking his head like he was punishing himself for even standing there. His back was broad, tense, but his voice was trembling with a kind of raw honesty you weren't expecting. Jungkook, fuck, this wasn't supposed to happen. Your heart thudded violently in your chest, but your gaze darted to the vase he had set down on the floor when kneeling. No matter how much he claimed harmlessness, your instincts screamed otherwise. Wrapping the towel tightly around your trembling body, you bent low, moving silently, fingers stretching for the vase. The second your skin touched the cool ceramic, Jungkook's voice cracked again. Jungkook, I'm sore. But his words never finished. With a rush of adrenaline, you swung the vase with all the strength you could gather. The dull crack echoed in the room, and Jungkook's breath caught before his body collapsed face first onto the floor. Relief rushed through your veins as you watched him lie there motionless. He wasn't dead. You hadn't hit him that hard, but he was out cold, still shaking. You crept closer, kneeling beside him, your breath caught when your eyes finally noticed him properly for the first time. Little blood was already seeping from the new wound, but what made your throat dry were the older marks, his swollen lip, a cut along his nose, the faint purple bruises scattered across his jaw and neck. His skin looked like a map of violence. He was already beaten up. Before this, your trembling hand hovered above his face before moving to check his eyelid, forcing it open slightly. His lashes fluttered faintly, but he didn't wake. You slapped his cheek lightly, then harder. He was still breathing. Your gut screamed you couldn't waste time. You scrambled to your room, throwing on the first clothes you could grab, your mind racing with fear and adrenaline. When you rushed back, your eyes locked on his unconscious body. A new thought burned inside you. To tie him down, if he woke up, if those sharp eyes opened again, you couldn't let him move, couldn't let him hurt you. You nodded to yourself. Slowly, you crouched beside him and slid your arms under his, the weight of his body pressing against you as you tried to drag him higher. You breathed hard, every muscle in your body straining as you tried to haul him onto the mattress. His weight was unbearable, dead weight. At the edge of the bed you almost lost him, his body slipping from your grasp, but with a desperate grunt you clutched him tighter, refusing to let him fall. Once he was lying there, your hands shook as you positioned his body flat against the sheets, already planning what to do next. You ran to your wardrobe, snatching to belts, your fingers fumbling with the buckles in panic. Climbing back onto the bed, you grabbed one of his arms, raising it high toward the headboard. Your brows knitted together as you tried to fasten the belt tightly around his wrist, your hands clumsy and frantic. What you didn't see was his eyelids twitching. The haze of unconsciousness began to lift, his lashes fluttering open. Jungkook groaned low, his head pounding, vision blurred at first, but then clearing just enough to see you hovering over him. His gaze followed your small, focused movements, the way your lips pressed tight in determination, the way your hair fell slightly over your face. And to his own surprise, despite the pain shooting through his body, a faint smile tugged at the corner of his lips. This woman, she dragged me here, he thought, amused at the sight. Jungkook's voice came out deep, hoarse but soft. Jungkook, it goes the other way, he murmured, pointing at the buckle and nudging his other hand to help. You obeyed his direction, twisting the belt the other way before it hit you. Your head snapped up, wide eyes locking on his open ones. Your heart almost leaped into your mouth. For a moment, you didn't move, too stunned to breathe. He met your gaze calmly, his lips curving into the faintest smirk. Jungkook, go on. If tying me up makes you believe you're safe, then do it. I'm not leaving anytime soon. Your entire body went cold. The realization that he was conscious, watching you, sent panic surging through your veins, cheeks as you scrambled off the bed, desperate to run. But before you could take more than a step, his hand shot out in one swift motion. His fingers wrapped around your wrist, pulling you back hard. You stumbled, falling directly onto his hard chest. Jungkook, where are you running, huh? Tie me up properly. His voice was low, rough, almost frustrated, but there was no anger, only control. Your chest pressed against his, your panicked breaths hot and shallow as you trembled against him. The scent of blood and sweat from his body mixed with the closeness of his skin, overwhelming your senses. You struggled in his grip, sobbing harder, your sniffs breaking into choked whimpers. And for the first time, guilt flickered in his eyes. He sighed, his expression tightening as he looked at your terrified face. He hadn't meant for this, hadn't wanted to reduce you to this state. But before he could even find the words, something else caught his attention. Your breathing wasn't just panicked, it was ragged, too fast, too shallow, as though your lungs were failing you. His eyes widened. Your fear radiated from you in waves, and he could feel it, every panic shiver, every small flinch. Jungkook. Hey, lady, breathe. Jungkook's hand moved gently but carefully against your back, just for a second, his wrist moving awkwardly but desperate to comfort you. Then, in one swift motion, he shifted you down onto the bed. Your head rested against the crook of his arm, his body leaning over you because he was still tied at the wrist. The closeness made your panic worse, his frame hovering above, your chest rising and falling in broken, uneven breaths. Then it hit him. His own heartbeat staggered when he saw your face, pale and tear-streaked, your lips parting desperately as though no air would come. Your throat tightened, your breaths rasped and stuttered. It wasn't just fear anymore. You couldn't breathe. He tugged at the leather around his wrist, jerking hard, trying to free himself, but the restraints only bit tighter. His helplessness made bile rise in his throat. Jungkook. Hey, breathe. Please breathe. What's happening? His stomach twisted, a sick, helpless dread flooding his chest. He cupped your throat with a shaky hand, rubbing lightly as if that could coax the air back into you. Jungkook. What do I do? Tell me please what? His body shook above you, torn between rage at himself and desperation to save you. Your arm lifted slowly, weak as though it weighed more than your strength could carry, fingers trembling. You touched near your nose, then struggled to form a small, clumsy gesture with your hand. Jungkook's eyes locked on your movements. His chest clenched when he realized you were signing. You needed your inhaler. You pointed, barely, toward the nightstand drawer. Jungkook. The drawer? He asked quickly. Your eyelids fluttered, and with the faintest nod, your hand fell limply back onto the sheets. He moved instantly, using the limited strength of his bound wrist and the force of his body. He shoved the nightstand drawer open with a rough thud, papers scattered, a pen rolled off the edge, and then, he saw it. His hand closed around the small inhaler. Jungkook. I got you, he muttered, his voice breaking but steady enough to guide you. His hand cupped your jaw as he pressed the inhaler into your mouth, tilting it just right. Breathe, he whispered, his forehead nearly brushing yours. That's it. Yeah, that's good. Breathe. You're okay. Everything's fine now. His voice softened without him realizing, smoothing into a calmness he hadn't known he was capable of. At first, nothing, your chest still tight, your fingers curled tightly in the sheets. But then, a slow release. The air began to seep in, another inhale, then another. Slowly, the terror that gripped your lungs loosened, the wheeze fading into softer breaths. His forehead dropped beside yours on the bed, his cheek almost brushing against your temple. He kept the inhaler steady at your lips, refusing to let go until your breathing fell into a safe rhythm. His face was so close now, close enough that he could see every detail. The damp strands of hair sticking to your temple, the shine of tears clinging to your lashes, the slight quiver of your bottom lip. If he leaned forward just an inch, his lips would brush your cheek. His legs tangled with yours on the sheets, your body pressed lightly into his chest. The intimacy of it was overwhelming, yet unplanned. Jungkook, you're just like a rabbit. Your eyes cracked open faintly at the sound, confused, before falling shut again. He smiled faintly, pained and tired. They get scared so easily, always panicked, always running, even when there's no real danger. But they're fragile, so damn fragile. His own lids grew heavy, exhaustion from endless running and bruising battles finally demanding surrender. With you lying warm and small against him, his body began to relax against the bed. For you, the panic still lingered faintly in your chest, and yet, there was something new in the way you were held. No one had ever held the inhaler for you before. Never stayed so close, never refused to look away until you were safe. He babied you without hesitation, his voice softer than silk. It was strange to feel so weak, yet so cared for, your body finally surrendering to the first slumber you'd felt in days. And beside you, with his cheek against your hair and his arms still braced around you, Jungkook's breath evened out too. Both of you, tangled in that moment, fell asleep. The soft rays of the morning sun spilled quietly into the room, slipping past the curtains and warming the man who lay motionless on the bed. His lashes fluttered as the light disturbed the heavy sleep he had sunk into. A deep yawn escaped his lips, his chest rising slowly, his body feeling as if it had been buried in rest for ages. At first, there was only stillness, the unfamiliar silence of a room. His gaze swept the walls, the furniture, the dim glow of the clock on the wall. And then realization struck him like cold water. He had slept more than 10 hours, but that wasn't what made his heart stumble. His eyes dropped to himself. His wounds were carefully wrapped in fresh bandages. His body was no longer in the bloodied clothes he remembered. His breath hitched sharply. His eyes widened. His chest rose in a sudden breath of disbelief. How had he not woken when someone touched him? How had he not flinched when someone treated his injuries? He was a man who never let his guard down, never once slept so soundly. Yet somehow, last night, he hadn't even stirred. His thoughts spun violently, but they stopped all at once when his gaze landed on you. You stood at the door, your body leaning against the doorframe. Your head was lowered, your hands loosely clinging to the wood. You didn't move, didn't speak, just watched him from a quiet distance. His throat tightened, guilt slamming into his chest as flashes of last night returned. Your panicked breaths, your tear-streaked face, the inhaler trembling in your lips. His heart skipped painfully. He swallowed down the lump in his throat and lifted his hand slowly, patting the empty space beside him. His voice came out low, coaxing, "Jungkook, come here." He knew you wouldn't. He knew your body still trembled in fear around him. But to his surprise, your small steps carried you forward. Slowly, hesitantly, you crossed the room and sat down on the very edge of the mattress, keeping your distance but obeying him nonetheless. Jungkook shifted closer, careful not to scare you. He tilted his head slightly, his eyes searching your face, trying to catch even the smallest glimpse of your expression. "Jungkook, you okay?" You gave the smallest nod once, without raising your eyes. His chest tightened. He asked again, gentler this time, "Jungkook, did you treat me?" Your chin dipped once more, confirming silently. A part of you thought, why wouldn't I? After all, if he had truly wanted you dead, he wouldn't have saved your life the night before. He wouldn't have pressed the inhaler to your lips. His lips pressed into a thin line, then curved slightly into dry, humorless laugh. "Jungkook, why am I not a bad guy to you anymore?" You bit down on your lower lip hard, refusing to answer this time. "So you can listen, but you can't speak." For the first time, you turned your head toward him, your eyes finally meeting his chest clenched tight. God, how could a face so gentle, so beautiful, belong to someone forced into silence like this? "Jungkook, you live alone? Where are your parents?" You lowered your eyes again, your hands twisting nervously in your lap. Then, slowly, you lifted them, shaping movements in the air you knew he wouldn't understand. "They're no more." Your eyes shot wide, stunned. You looked at him sharply, hands lifting again, shaping frantic signs in disbelief, asking, "Do you know sign language?" But before you could finish, a soft laugh slipped from his lips. His hand lifted slowly, carefully, and he nudged the tip of your nose with his finger, gentle and teasing. "Jungkook, yes, I can understand. I know sign language. It's not difficult. It's actually easy, if you pay attention." Your heart fluttered strangely in your chest. No one you knew had ever been fluent in sign language, not even your parents, before they passed, had taken the time to truly learn the language of your silence. But here he was, the man who once terrified you, watching you so closely, as if every small movement of your hands, every fragment of your silence, he understood it all. "Jungkook, well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you like that last night, but I had to hide. I was in danger. That's why I jumped into your balcony. I'm really sorry for disturbing you." Even as the words left him, your mind was elsewhere. Last night, lying on his chest, feeling his warmth, hearing his heartbeat, it had been the most comforting, safest feeling you had felt in a long time. That sensation lingered deep inside you now, a soft ache that made your chest flutter. You wanted to tell him, to let him know how much that hug had meant, but you forced yourself to stay quiet. Jungkook's eyes flicked to you curiously, catching the way you kept staring at him. He shifted slightly, breaking the tension with a question, his voice soft but betraying a slight nervous flutter. "Jungkook, what's your name?" Your hand moved instinctively under your t-shirt, fingers brushing the smooth metal of the pendant resting against your chest. You lifted it carefully, holding it so he could see. His eyes followed it, focusing on the letters. "Yin." You nodded once, shyly. A faint, almost unnoticeable smile touched his lips. Such a soft name. A sudden blush flushed your cheeks, and you quickly lowered the pendant, tucking it back beneath your shirt. Then, tilting your head slightly, you pointed toward him, silently signaling that it was his turn. "Jungkook, it's Jungkook. A frown crept onto your face, your eyes narrowing slightly. The name sounded strangely familiar, like you had read it somewhere on the news or heard it whispered in passing. But the thought slipped away. Instead, you signed quickly, teasing him. Stop moving around, stop being a thief. His eyebrows shot up in surprise, a corner of his lips twitching as if trying to hide a smirk, though there was a flash of mock embarrassment in his expression. Jungkook, lady, I'm not a thief. What? Do I look like a thief to you? You frowned, scratching the side of your temple with one hand, and signed again, this time more seriously. Then why are you so badly beaten up? Jungkook's jaw tightened. Jungkook, because his words faltered. He couldn't tell you the truth, that he was dangerous, that he belonged to a world full of violence. Revealing that to you now could put you in harm's way again. He couldn't bear to see fear or panic on your face, not ever again. Swallowing hard, he shifted the conversation quickly. Hey, my phone. Have you seen it? As soon as he said it, your body moved before you even thought. You stood swiftly and darted toward the closet. There, tucked safely away, was the phone you had found near the balcony, keeping it safe for him. He tried to suppress a laugh, but it slipped out anyway. Jungkook, thank you, little rabbit. You really are like a rabbit, so full of energy, yet so scared all the time. The words sent a strange flutter through your chest. You frowned, cheeks warming, and instinctively lifted your pendant again, showing it to him. Call me Yin, Jungkook. No, little rabbit suits you. A small pout formed on your lips, your eyebrows knitting together in mock anger. The expression was so obvious that it made him laugh out loud this time. Jungkook, all right, I'm sorry, little rabbit. You couldn't help it. Your lips twitched into a soft laugh, and you raised your palm to cover it. But then, a low, unmistakable growl rumbled from his stomach, making you glance at him in surprise. Jungkook, well, I haven't eaten anything. You nodded slightly, signaling for him to follow you. A small grin tugged at your lips, but just as you reached for the door, a low groan escaped him. He swayed slightly, his hand reaching out instinctively, and it was clear standing was painful. Jungkook, Yin, can you help me, please? The word please hit your chest, your heart squeezed, but still, you rolled your eyes playfully, not wanting to make your worry obvious. You stepped closer, ready to wrap your arms around him, but before you could even reach him, he straightened stubbornly. With surprising agility, he looped one arm casually around your neck, resting his cheek gently against your head. Jungkook, thank you so much. You sensed the truth in his tone. He didn't really need help, but your hands itched to stay near him, to hold him safely, so you slid your arm around his waist, guiding him gently. Each small step toward the kitchen pressed your bodies closer. You gently guided Jungkook toward the chair placed right beside yours, pulling it out with a soft nudge. You wanted him close enough that if he struggled you could help him eat without making him feel embarrassed. He shifted carefully, leaning back with a soft sigh, before glancing at the plates you had set on the table. Jungkook, wow, everything looks so good. Your chest fluttered at his words. It had been so many days, so many lonely meals, since someone sat at your table and tasted food you had made with your own hands. You always knew you were a good cook, but hearing even the smallest praise from him made your stomach twist. He picked up a spoonful, blew lightly over it, then slipped it into his mouth. The second the flavor hit his tongue, his entire body reacted. His eyes went wide, almost sparkling, and he froze mid-bite. A muffled groan escaped him unintentionally, but enough to make your skin prickle. He turned to you, eyes still wide as though he couldn't believe what he had just tasted. Jungkook, what are you? A professional cook? This is insane. I swear, I've never had something like this. You immediately looked down, trying to hide the heat rushing across your cheeks. The spoon in your hand trembled just slightly as you took your own bite, pretending not to be affected by his words. You wanted to smile, but you held it back, not wanting to look too eager. But then his next words pierced right through that fragile happiness. Jungkook, I bet your boyfriend loves your cooking. The bite in your mouth almost lost its taste. He had said it casually, but his eyes shifted to you sideways, as if he was trying to read you, trying to pull out an answer you hadn't offered yet. You shook your head slowly, lips pressing together before you raised your hands to sign carefully. I've never been in a relationship. His lips pressed into a thin, thoughtful line. For a moment, silence lingered, as if he wanted to ask you something deeper. How long you had lived this way, when the silence began. But before he could, you moved your hands again. What about you? A small smirk tugged at his lips as he leaned back in the chair. Jungkook, I'm married. Your eyes widened, and your whole body froze. The words dropped like a stone in your chest. He was married. Your heart sank to your stomach, and you felt the warmth drain from your face. You had started to feel something for this man, and now you realized he belonged to someone else. But instead of breaking, you masked it quickly. You pulled your brows together, making a disgusted face, the corners of your mouth tugging down. He blinked, caught off guard. A smirk ghosted his lips as he realized you had believed him, but your hands moved again, sharp with sarcasm. I feel sad for your wife, that she had to marry a thief. His jaw dropped slightly, and he groaned. Jungkook, for God's sake, I'm not a thief. You rolled your eyes, deliberately dragging your chair a little farther away. Jungkook, however, wasn't one to be ignored. His lips curled into a suppressed laugh, and without warning, he slid his hand beneath your chair. With one quick tug, he dragged it closer, so close that the legs screeched against the floor before stopping right against his. Your knees knocked together, and your shoulders nearly brushed. Heat radiated from his body, sinking into yours, stealing the air from your lungs. Jungkook, did you really believe that? You glared at him, heat prickling your cheeks. You knew he was lying. No married man would lean into another woman like this. Look at her this way, the way he was right now. Jungkook, well, I'm not that crazy. I wouldn't flirt with another woman if I had a wife. You didn't give him the satisfaction of a reply. Instead, you lifted your hand and smacked his stomach with your palm. He let out a surprised groan, bending slightly before laughing under his breath. You signed quickly, sternly. Stop talking nonsense. Eat. Jungkook, all right, bossy. Still smiling, he picked up his spoon again, taking another bite. But there was something in his smile that wasn't just playful. His eyes softened as he looked at you, watching the small movements of your hands, the way your lashes lowered when you signed, the tiny pout you gave when annoyed. He loved this. He loved the way you were soft yet stubborn, quiet yet expressive, and most of all, he loved that he was the one sitting here, close enough to feel your warmth while tasting food that carried a piece of you in every bite. The quiet sound of forks against plates filled the air until suddenly, a sharp ding broke through. Jungkook's phone lit up on the table. He froze for a second, glancing at you quickly to make sure you were still eating, your focus on the food and not on him. That gave him enough courage to reach for it. He tilted the phone in his palm, just enough for only him to see. The message was from one of his men. Lay low. Don't show your face for the next few days. Too many eyes on us. Stay hidden until I say. His hand curled into a fist under the table. His shoulder throbbed with pain. His throat felt tight before he finally spoke, almost hesitant. Jungkook, Yin, can I stay at your place a little longer? Just a few days. I'm badly injured, and I won't be able to. His voice trailed off. His heart skipped on how close it sounded to begging. But he couldn't help it. Pride was useless if he couldn't even stand on his own feet without staggering. Before he could say another word, you nodded, just a simple, calm nod, your eyes still on your plate. For a second, Jungkook just blinked at you, stunned. Then a slow smile curved his lips. He leaned back in his chair, watching you with disbelief. How innocent could you be? To let a stranger, an injured man with no past explained, stay under your roof like this? Didn't you realize what kind of risk that was? He almost wanted to laugh, but something heavy pressed down on his chest. Jungkook, you're really just letting me stay that easy? You nodded again quietly. He leaned forward slightly, almost testing you. Jungkook, but what if I do something wrong to you? You don't know me. I'm still a stranger. How can you trust me like that? You finally set your spoon down, the faint clink sharp in the quiet. Slowly, you turned your face toward him. Slowly, you raised your hands to sign, your fingers moving with sarcasm. You're the one who begged me last night to trust you. I can still throw you out right now, if you want me to. His eyes widened a little, his lips parting before a nervous laugh escaped him. Jungkook, oh, no, yeah, I remember. Don't kick me out. Embarrassment flickered across his face as he scratched the back of his neck awkwardly, looking anywhere but at you. Then he quickly shoved another spoonful of food into his mouth, pretending to be absorbed in the taste again. The corners of your lips curved into a small, hidden smile. You turned back to your plate, shaking your head softly at his awkwardness, and yet, your chest felt strangely warm. A sharp wince escaped him as you carefully peeled the old bandage off his arm. His face twisted in pain, and instinctively, he leaned closer to you, clutching your free arm like a child looking for comfort. His grip against your skin was a silent plea for comfort. You couldn't help the small pout that formed on your lips. You hated seeing him hurt, but the bandage had to come off. There was no avoiding it. It had been 5 days now since Jungkook had been living under your roof. 5 days of this same routine, changing his bandages, listening to his endless whining and groaning, and him clinging to you like this every single time. And yet, not once had he ever made things awkward. Even when he flirted, he would quickly apologize. When he teased, he'd flash that grin and mutter, "I'm kidding, don't be mad," leaving you unsure whether to roll your eyes or smile. You still didn't know exactly how badly he was hurt or what had caused his injuries. And honestly, you hadn't asked. And somehow, that ignorance didn't matter. In these 5 days, a quiet trust had grown between the two of you. His touch, whether rubbing your back, patting your head, or simply holding your hand, never once felt wrong. It was comforting, safe, and it was slowly becoming natural to let him be close. As you worked carefully, he let his head drop forward. "Jungkook, I really want to sleep now." His voice was muffled, almost boyish, as if hoping you'd take pity on him. He watched your face closely, searching for any reaction. He knew you couldn't reply with your hands right now, not while tending his arm, but you gave a small hum in response, eyes focused on your work. Minutes passed with his soft groans and complaints, his body shifting restlessly every time the antiseptic stung. Finally, when the fresh bandage was tied neatly in place, you patted his back gently, your signal that he was done, free to rest. "Jungkook, thank you." Before you could respond, he leaned in and pressed a soft kiss to your cheek. He did this every time you helped him, always saying it was his way of showing gratitude. But this time, you decided to play with him. You wiped your cheek with your palm, pretending to be annoyed. His brow furrowed, and his lips parted in surprise. "Jungkook, and why? You only shrugged, calmly placing the first aid materials back into the box. But to your surprise, he leaned in again, pressing another quick kiss to your cheek. When you wiped it away a second time, his eyes widened, a mixture of shock and frustration flashing across his face. "Yin, I'm just doing that because I want to thank you. Stop wiping it." He tried again, leaning in quickly to press another kiss. But the second his lips left your skin, your hand followed. A smirk began tugging at your lips. You were enjoying this far too much. His brows furrowed in frustration. His large hand suddenly cupped your face, holding you still, and he peppered your cheek with quick kisses, one after another. "Jungkook, stop it. Stop wiping. Why are you wiping? Huh?" You stubbornly wiped your cheek again, exactly the same number of times he had kissed you. His eyes narrowed, clearly annoyed now, but beneath it, his desperation was obvious. "Jungkook, Yin, did I do something wrong? Are you upset with me?" You ignored him deliberately, grabbing the box and standing up from the bed. But before you could take a step, his arm wrapped tight around your waist, pulling you back down. You gasped softly as he tugged you with surprising strength, making you fall back against the mattress. His arms wrapped around you from behind, his chest pressing into your back. Your heart stuttered in your chest when he buried his face into your shoulder, his nose nuzzling against your skin like a sulking child. "Jungkook, am I frustrating you? Am I being annoying?" His voice was quiet, almost talking to himself. You bit your lip hard, trying to suppress the laugh bubbling up. He tightened his hold, muttering in the softest, cutest tone, like he was pouting. "Jungkook, no, I don't think so. I'm not annoying. I always listen to you. I sit still when you tell me. I even eat when you say eat. I'm a good patient, right? You just don't like my thank you kisses, huh? Is that it?" Your soft giggles finally slipped out, light and breathless, and you quickly pressed your palm over your lips to muffle them. Your shoulders shook as you tried to laugh silently, but your eyes gave you away, sparkling, mischievous, playful. You knew he would act overly dramatic if he realized you were teasing him, so you tried to get up again, your body twisting lightly, ready to run. But before you could even move an inch away, his arm tightened around your waist again, pulling you back instantly. "Jungkook, you little, come here." This time, instead of only pulling you against his chest, he shifted quickly, making you fall directly onto the bed, your back sinking into the soft sheets. He leaned over you, his hand still firm around your waist as he immediately attacked you with his fingers, tickling your sides without mercy. Your body arched, writhing under him as soft, raspy giggles poured from your lips. Your hand slapped at his wrists, trying to push him away, but your strength was nothing compared to his. He only laughed, his heart racing as he watched you struggle, your flushed cheeks glowing, your smile uncontrollable. In the past 5 days, he had learned more about you than he ever thought possible. You weren't cold, you weren't untouchable, you were soft, fragile, almost like a child who only needed the smallest affection to melt. You broke so easily under kindness, under sweet words, under warmth, and he knew why. You had already told him about losing your voice when you were small, how there were no chances it would ever return. He had seen it in your eyes too, how long you had lived in silence, how much you had been alone. And now, every small thing he did, every touch, every word, every playful tease, was pulling you closer, filling that loneliness you had carried for so long. And God, he was more than happy to be the one filling it. His smile softened as he finally stopped, his fingers pausing at your waist when he saw you breathless, your chest rising and falling quickly, your lips parted, your laughter fading into small gasps. Jungkook, would you wipe my kisses again now? His tone was teasing, but his eyes searched your face deeply. Waiting, you shook your head immediately, still catching your breath. A wide smile spread across your lips, your cheeks glowing with heat. All right then, let me try again. You bit your bottom lip, your heart skipping wildly as you tilted your head slightly and showed him your cheek, your silent way of giving him permission. He leaned down gently and pressed a soft kiss against your cheek, lingering there just a second longer than needed. When he pulled back, his eyes flicked straight to you, watching closely. You gave him a look as if to say, "See, I didn't wipe it." He chuckled, nodding slowly. Jungkook, but I'm not satisfied. Let's give it one more try. Before you could react, his lips brushed your skin again, this time dangerously close to your mouth. The warmth of his breath grazed the corner of your lips, and your stomach flipped violently, butterflies bursting inside you. Jungkook, I see, you're not wiping them anymore. His voice was almost a whisper. He was hovering fully above you now, his weight balanced on one strong arm beside your head. His fingers slid into your hair, stroking softly but holding you in place. The other hand pressed into the bed, keeping his body lifted just enough so he could stare down at you. Your eyes fluttered, caught between nervousness and excitement, but you couldn't look away. Jungkook, let me give you just one more kiss. Your breath hitched, your throat trembling as a soft sound of pleasure escaped when his lips touched you again, half on your lips, half on the corner of your mouth. Not a full kiss, but enough to make your entire body shiver. Your eyes flew wide open, stunned, your heart thundering so loud it echoed in your ears. You stared into his eyes, helpless, and he stared right back, his gaze locked on you like you were the only thing in the world. He leaned in closer, his nose brushing against yours, nudging softly, affectionately. His breath mingled with yours, and every inch of space between you felt like it was disappearing. Jungkook, can I have more? His eyes flickered between yours and your lips, again and again, searching for any sign of hesitation. He wanted you, but he also wanted to be sure you wanted him too. His chest rose and fell heavily as he tried to read you, to figure out if this was real or if you would push him away. But then, your hand slowly lifted, trembling slightly, and cupped the back of his neck. You gave him the softest nod, one that told him everything he needed to know. You wanted it too. His Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. He leaned in gently, almost nervously, pressing a light peck against your lips before pulling back. His eyes lingered on your face, only to find your eyes closed, waiting, expecting more. That was all it took for him to lose control. He leaned in again, this time deeper, parting his lips and catching your lower lip between his. The kiss was unhurried but heavy, carrying every ounce of the flutter and heat that raced through both your bodies. Your breath hitched, goosebumps rising along your arms as his lips molded perfectly with yours. The kiss grew messier, wetter, more consuming. Your lips parted for him as his did for you, and soon you were lost in the warmth of it. Your arms wound tightly around his neck, pulling him closer, as if you couldn't get enough of him. He leaned further into you, almost melting into your hold, his hand sliding to the side of your waist. A sharp gasp escaped you when his lips left yours and trailed lower. He pressed hot, open-mouthed kisses along your jaw, down to your neck, then up toward the sensitive shell of your ear. Each touch made your breath hitch, your hands gripping the back of his shirt tighter. Just when you thought he wouldn't stop, he found your lips again, kissing you harder this time, pouring everything and said into it. But just when the moment was deepening, when you thought he'd go further, Jungkook pulled back. His forehead rested against yours, both of you breathing heavily. Jungkook, oh, Yin. Your gaze dropped to his lips, red, swollen, glistening, and your heart jumped so wildly you thought it might burst. You waited for him to kiss you again, but he didn't move. He only stayed there, holding his ground. Let's sleep, hum. You blinked at him, stunned. He could have taken more. You weren't stopping him, not even close, but he chose to stay within his limits. He respected that it was still too soon, that crossing the line now would be rushing. His restraint only made your chest ache more for him. When he shifted as if to leave the bed, you panicked. Your hand shot out, grabbing the collar of his shirt, forcing him to look at you again. Your lips parted as you breathed out softly, almost pleading. You signed, "Sleep here, with me." For a moment, his face softened in a way you hadn't seen before. He didn't even hesitate. Jungkook usually slept on the couch, but he knew how much you loved warmth, how much you loved being held, and he couldn't refuse you. He wouldn't. Jungkook, all right. He got up, turned the lights off, and came back to the bed. The room fell into a calm darkness, only the moonlight sneaking in through the curtains. He slid under the covers beside you, moving closer until his chest pressed against your back, his strong arm wrapped around your waist, pulling you flush against him, his chin nestling into the curve of your shoulder. Jungkook, good night, Yin. Your eyes fluttered shut, lips curling into a small smile as your hand found his arm and held it in place, making sure he wouldn't let go. And he didn't. In that moment, nothing else mattered. And for Jungkook, holding you like this felt even better than the kiss itself. The warm morning light slowly spilled into the room, soft rays crawling across the floor until they touched the bed. It was already morning. You lay on your stomach, the blanket pulled all the way up over your shoulders as if someone had tucked you in carefully during the night. Your hair was scattered messily across your face, tickling your cheek, but you didn't bother moving it. Your eyes squeezed open against the brightness. A small yawn left your lips, the kind that makes your shoulders rise and fall, reminding you that you had to get up now. Still half asleep, your hand stretched lazily over the bed, moving across the sheets, searching for a particular warmth and comfort you were used to by now. But it wasn't there. Your eyes shot open fully. The spot beside you was empty, cold. You frowned instantly, confusion sinking into your chest. Your gaze darted toward the restroom door. Maybe he was there, but the light was off. No sound of water, nothing. Your lips parted as you let out a soft sigh, trying to calm the sudden rush of uneasiness. Maybe he's cooking. The thought made you smile faintly, a little comfort washing over you. With that fragile hope, you quickly jumped out of bed, your bare feet pattering against the floor as you rushed out in search of him. But the house was quiet. You stood in the middle of the living room, biting at your nails as your eyes scanned every corner. He wasn't in the kitchen. He wasn't in the balcony. He wasn't anywhere. Maybe he went for a walk. You thought to yourself. Your heart was beating too fast, each thud loud in your ears until it almost hurt. You sank down onto the couch, clutching the edge of the cushion with cold fingers. You blinked hard, fighting back the sting in your eyes. At least he should have left a note. Something. A word. A sign. Anything that told you where he had gone. You hugged your knees tightly to your chest, your chin resting there as you rocked slightly back and forth. You told yourself he'd be back soon, that maybe any second the door would open and you'd see his face. You even rehearsed how you would scold him for leaving you worried like this. But deep down, a small, poisonous thought whispered, what if he's gone forever? The longer you sat there, the heavier that thought grew, until it hollowed your chest. Your feet wobbled restlessly against, your teeth pressing harshly into your lip as you waited. Hours passed. The day turned into night, and still, he didn't come. By now, it was almost 2 a.m. You were curled up near the door, your phone clutched tightly to your chest. You had called him 100 times already, maybe more. Each unanswered ring felt like another knife inside your heart. You couldn't sit still. You had run outside earlier, your hair messy, eyes red, asking strangers desperately if they had seen him. You pointed, you waved your hands. You tried to explain, a tall guy, but the words stumbled and failed. No one understood. And you had no photo, nothing to prove he even existed. People just brushed you off with pitying looks. Now, your body slumped weakly against the doorframe, your head resting back against the wood. The tears wouldn't stop. They slipped silently down your cheeks over and over until your dress was damp from clutching it against your chest. Your gaze was empty, fixed straight ahead as though staring hard enough at the road would somehow make him appear. But he didn't, and your heart was breaking with each passing minute. It wasn't fair. He had come into your life so suddenly, pulled you close, made you feel safe, made you believe. And now, just as suddenly, he was gone, like smoke in the wind. Your anger flared in between sobs. You wanted to scream, shout, demand why he'd do this to you. But you had no voice to do so. You just cried harder, clutching your chest, your body shaking. Everything felt like a dream now, a beautiful dream you had been living in, wrapped up in his presence. And now you were finally awake and alone.